acumen, skills in skincare, and so much more. Um, okay, so sorry, I got a great. Okay, so this call is being recorded. We can always get this conversation. Yes, and I'm excited. This person also, we need to give anyway you can give obugalo wherever you are, or flowers wherever you are, is 1 month into marriage. Is it today actually? No, tomorrow she'll be
Tomorrow.
making 1 month as a wife. So congratulations, my guest, Mrs. Mbonimpa Barbarah. I'm going to actually add the name she sent me, Kagambo. So, well. Congratulations. 1 month in is no small feat. Don't get doomsdayers who are actually saying it's a small one. So, well done. Ladies and gentlemen, on the call, please welcome Barbara with all the love. The flowers have started coming, so please receive them. Yes,
Thank you.
Barbara, how are you?
I'm
Good
great.
to see you because we've talked, but we didn't see each other. So this is
Yeah.
good to see you. I know I want to get you to do a bit of a breather, just in maybe a minute or less, actually. Just a big hello to everybody, and we'll dive straight into our conversation.
Okay, great. Hi. It's a pleasure to be here. The introduction has been made. Mbonimpa Mbonimpa, Mrs. Kagambo. Pretty exciting. It's an honor to be here. I love sharing my journey. It's been a journey of faith, a journey of love, a journey of toil. So I'm really, really happy to share my journey and empower someone else, or give someone else that faith to keep pushing today, because we're living in very, I would say, undetermined times. So it's just nice to kind of share and help someone else on the entrepreneurship journey, which is quite lonely, but I'm here for you.
Yeah. I wanted us to just start because they've had the journey. And actually, first of all, before we get into it, if you're able to see her face, how beautiful is that? So you're actually showing us your skill set, and I like it. So,
Yes.
Barbara, let's walk the journey. Where did it start? I know you're young, and most people can feel like, okay, I mean, the journey can't be much to tell, but I'm excited to hear where it began, the ups and the downs of your journey. So please dive in.
It started in 2016. You know how they say I started my business with $1? Mine was less than
Yeah.
a dollar. Quite literally, I walked into the streets of Bandas doing environmental engineering at Chambogo University, and bought an eyebrow pencil. And I was like, I like how my eyebrows look, when I do them. So that's just the beginning. And I had passion for beauty. So I would do makeup on myself, on my sisters, my cousins, and everyone is like, turn it into a business, but not as, corporate work and everything else in between. As a firstborn from a middle to low income household, I could not just sit and be there. I needed some extra money to be able to do my hair, do my nails. You want to go for birthday parties. You can't be calling your mother back home in the village for that. So I was working all sorts of jobs. And in my final year of university, I turned it into a business. And at first it was for profit only. And then time for graduation, I had to make the big decision. You're an environmental engineer and you've started this business. So which is it going to be? And as a child of God, I'm very Christian, very pro-faith. It's something that I will always share about loudly. I prayed about it for a long time. And every time I would pray, God would be like, Bubbles Glam. I'm like, but this is just makeup. And when I used to pray, I would see a tunnel vision of Bubbles Glam, and I just didn't know what it was. So back when I was at university, when finances were really hard, I made a promise to God, if I ever get out of this hardship, I do want to help other women and other young girls do the same. And for me, it's very personal because I have 3 cousins that were married off and pregnant by the age of 16. So me being able to even make it as far as the university was really great. But then I feel like their future was cut short, and there are many other girls like that. So at first I thought I'd be an engineer, do philanthropy work, give back to communities. And God was like, no, you're going to equip them with a skill that they can monetize and they can sustain their livelihoods for themselves and for their families. So that's been the journey of Bubbles Glam in summary. We have had 4 cohorts so far of teaching women the hands-on skills that they can monetize. Some have started their businesses. We have one that went ahead to use it for film, in the film industry. One of them started their small business. She learned the skills in her S6 bag. So at university, she's running her small business to sustain herself. and a few that have also come back under our Trainers of Trainers program to train the other cohorts. And an achievement I would share is our recent cohort in April. Two trainers from previous cohorts trained the entire cohort. So I only came in for the first session and they were able to pass on the skills. So it's sustainable and I really love to see that. And yeah, I think cut it at that. But that's the journey of love. We also at Bubbles Glam stand for confidence, for finding inner beauty, because a lot of the girls come into the classes. If I learn makeup, I'll feel beautiful. You know, it's a cover up, it's this shell. And one, we're breaking the societal attitude towards beauty because everyone's like, makeup, you're slay queen, you have no brains, what can you do? And Bubbles Glam is here to break that narrative that you can be beautiful in and out. First of all, we find your inner beauty. That's the first module. So we always break it. We're like, find your inner beauty, find your inner confidence, and then we can learn how to take care of the skin and everything outside. And also spreading to the world that beauty can be for a purpose to change societal issues. Yeah.
Wow, that is beautiful. Confidence and inner beauty. Imagine getting to study, and that is your first module. Makeup, I guess I won't even say just makeup, but a lot of industries, when you're joining them, you're finding the cream that's been there, the older entrepreneurs, the older people who are more skilled, have been in the business, monopolized how things are done. And I wonder how you were able to manage that, especially coming into I mean, if you were going to be an engineer, that's different. You know, you're still going in with the same challenge, but slightly different. Talk to us about that.
There've been several makeup. It's a very saturated industry, one in Uganda. If you go on Instagram, there's Glam by, Faces by, name it. So it was hard to navigate entering an overly saturated industry. And that can come with its pressures to want to be like the people that have been existing. So I have this, I don't know, statement like when donkeys and horses are racing, they block them on the side. So I reached that point where I had all the pressures. Should I start a shop? I had my shop in Amaganda, closed up, sold everything, went back to mobile services. Am I a failure? Am I not? So there was all this pressure plus clientele as well. It was a lot to navigate. It's a capital intensive industry. So I blocked everything and I was like, at the core of Barbarah, who am I? What do I love to do? What is my identity? And how can I make this my thing? So I took makeup and made it personal for my journey, for my story, which is how I was able to break out and stand out, because then I'm not trying to be like someone else. I am me. And that's, I believe, something you can't take from me, as opposed to following a path, which I believe even just for the beauty industry alone in Uganda, it's too streamlined. There's like only one path up. But on the global scale, the beauty industry has so many paths. And by skilling, that is what we want to open up the new entrepreneurs in the industry too, that it's not only get a small shop, start mobile, get a small shop, open a big boutique shop, and then work on celebrities, and that's it. There's so much more to beauty. So I had to find my voice, my identity, and it's what we tell our students. We are teaching you this skill, but you can make it your own. Can you use it for mental health, beauty therapy? Can you use it to push different agendas, really? So finding who I was at the core and turning beauty into that for me.
I wonder what it is, sort of towing the line between being a mentor and then a business owner, because that would then serve different purposes. I get that. So you still have that core purpose of helping others, but it's a business.
I've sort of separated. It's a balance we're still learning. We're learning on the job as we go. Because one, there's a business, then there's social impact, which is a passion, which is a calling from God to serve, to give back. But then you need the business to sustain the social impact. So honestly, that's a balance we're still trying to find. But as a mentor, I don't put the pressures of the business onto the team. So I would say setting up structures and systems, in that if we have a training team for the social impact activities, they should not have the pressures to look for the money as well. And yeah, so mentoring them in that direction and then maintaining the business side. So we're learning on the job. But I do believe systems are key.
Systems are indeed key. I wonder about leadership as well, because you're young, you started something, you wobbled your way into finding that, what it was, how to help others. And in that, because when you're still young, there's a lot you're still also experiencing on your own. And then to
Yeah.
go ahead and teach, it can be sort of like a hard thing to balance out being a leader, because you're also learning your own leadership style.
Yes.
But then you already have people under you. How do you manage that leading, up or down the curve?
I would call that collaborative leadership. So there's a bit of authority in that I am leading. This is what we're doing, but also collaborating with the team and creating a safe environment that the trainers that I do work with are lobbied into the bigger vision. Even for the partners that have partnered with Bubbles Glam for this agenda, I'm lobbying them into the greater vision. So it's not Barbara's, I don't know, this thing. It's more of like, this is what Bubbles Glam stands for. This is the future, because it's a young business. It's a young social enterprise. So we don't have capital and funding to get a whole team and put them on a payroll per se. But we don't have capital to put them on a payroll per se, but I have an amazing team of ladies that have stuck with me, when we're on, when we're off, because they are part of the bigger vision, the bigger picture of what we are building. So I would say really letting everyone in on the bigger vision. This is where we're going. This is what we stand for. And if you stand with me, we can build this into something great. And I believe we're doing an amazing job at doing that.
Help us understand the dynamics of when you have to loop other people into your vision, because again, you don't want them to just buy into one part of the business. You don't want them to just buy into one part that they're doing or their role. You want to be the leader, like you said, who's collaborative. But I mean, and some parts of the vision only understood by you. I don't know how to even say that. There's some things that are too big for sometimes, especially when you're working with young people, what do you choose for other people to chew off as a leader? And how do you even figure that out, that this as a leader, I can actually impart this I can manage this way, these people I can manage them that way, because they can't really, and they will not see, even if I give them the glasses that I see through life for them to see.
Yeah, I do believe I've taken time, especially to understand the team. So one, what are your goals? For everyone that signed up for for all our programs, one of the questions in the interview is, what are your 5-year plans, and where do you see yourself? So getting people onto the team whose personal goals are in line with where Bubbles Glam is going, that makes it easier, because then I'm not trying to force this thing down your throat, but rather it's in line of, you are growing, you are building yourself as we grow this thing together. I think that has been the greatest asset. So finding people whose visions and goals align with where Bubbles Glam is going. So each step, however small it is, like I said, it's a young social enterprise, and we're still working our way around everything. So that means we have seasons where we're doing really well. We have courts, we have events, we're doing cold tea, and then we have those seasons where there is nothing. But then each of those seasons, they feel like they're also growing as well, which is why I do believe they have stayed with us for the number of years they have. So their visions and their goals aligning with what we're doing, it's easier to lead that kind of team. Yeah.
I wonder, because I've talked to people who are much older, and they'll tell you the leadership for them changes when they are leading, for example, a team under them, but then also when they get someone, for example, as a founder, at some point you're going to relinquish control of certain parts of the business to then be handled by others. And sometimes they're older than you, younger than you, but you're trying to manage power. It's literally our conversation today, power relations. How do you do that for both? And have you already gotten to that point where, as a founder, you've said, you know what, some things are in my control, some things are going to be given to other people, maybe because you don't have the time, or you're growing the vision? Yeah.
As you mentioned earlier, and I mentioned, I'm recently married, and my husband is in Europe. So having to move away from something that you've taken time to nurture and cultivate, that was a very wild place, because that means, when you're in Uganda, it's easy to say, I'm letting go of that control, but you're still in control. But how do you move away? And that's the space I'm navigating. But I have learned that as much as I am the founder, I've been leading this, I have a great team that's on board, the next step for me, I believe, is allowing them to also be creative in building Bubbles Glam and allowing them to fly, to make the mistakes, to make, highs and lows. Like, it's part of their growth journey as much as I've had mine. So it's a hard one. It's a hard one, but provided we maintain the values that Bubbles Glam stands for, the direction we are going, achieving our goals, I think for me, the next step in stepping away and giving that power to my team is allowing their creative brains come to play. Because, I mean, to my surprise, they could actually do really well and bring ideas that are beyond what I could think of. So, yeah. And also trusting the team and allowing them to fail. They're not going to do what Barbara does, but they will do something. And as long as it's in line with our goals, I have been preparing my mindset the last couple of months and even the last cohort we had in April, I did release that control. They did extremely well. I thought I had to come in and instruct and just, micromanage. And I had these days where I would just show up at the end. Is everything okay? So for them to carry out a full cohort without me micromanaging, I think gave me the confidence that it is possible. If you give people room to exercise, then they will actually overachieve. If you're on their heads the whole time, they might actually, it's like you're putting fear, like, oh my God, she's here. Am I teaching this for the right things? Did I say foundation well? Did I do this the right way? So I think giving a bit of the power, but yeah, it's a trusting game.
It is. And you mentioned things like empathy, trust, or even equipping your team to be able to do certain things. But respect is also a word that is used around power and leadership. And we know that for some reason people don't equate leadership or power with young people. And when people see you in a room, it's hard for them to then, they can look at the bio and the profile and the experience and respect that, but may not necessarily respect the person because they're young. Have you dealt with such, and how have you managed if you have dealt with such an imbalance?
Definitely. I've been in several rooms, different places, events. And as a young person who is in an unconventional industry, it is easy to on the face value, there's that they underlook you and undermine you, which is something that I have grown to expect. But I think that is where building that confidence, one other thing that Bubbles Glam stands for, because giving you all these skills and not equipping you with the confidence to step out doesn't make any sense. I would say confidence plays a key part in that. While being humble, maintaining humility, respectful boundaries, communicating in a way that I am not shouting back if my boundaries are overstepped, but I'm communicating professionally in a respectable way, and being confident in who I am and what I stand for. Yeah. So as a young entrepreneur, you'll often go into rooms and maybe feel like, do I really belong here? I was recently accepted into the Mandela Washington Fellowship by the US State Department. And let me tell you, you will meet entrepreneurs all over Africa and question, am I even doing anything? And that is something I would say in the first week, and people are saying, oh, and you're like, ah. So I think confidence plays a key part in that, but while being professional, being humble, because there is a lot to learn as well in places where there are people who have experience. Another thing I would say is maintaining authentic relationships, building authentic relationships with the people that I do believe I need in my circles of influence. Yeah, but that can only be done if you're being professional and humble and you're confident in who you are. Then they will take you seriously.
Absolutely. So it sounds to me like you're saying that whole thing, the balance of trying to get the respect when you're in a position of power isn't so much about what you're saying, but in your actions consistently, and then people end up respecting that about you. I want to talk about that imbalance between genders, for example, men and women. But before that, I thought I would talk about young people. When they hear power, they hear privilege. It's hard for them to separate the two. They want, yet power, for example, has an aspect of it which has responsibility. You're where you are and you're still worried about how things are moving, how people are, relating. you in fact you forget the privilege part of of the power of the leadership. But for a lot of young
Yeah.
people, the conversation is never divided. They believe power and privilege and leadership or privilege come together. How do you, when you're talking to your mentees and the young people, how are you sort of equipping them to prepare them that the power you're going for, the leadership you're going for, comes with responsibility more than it will privilege?
I think that is, again, being authentic. We don't lie. We say things as they are. And especially for the young people, because this is not something I just learned. This is my journey, which is why the power is in sharing my journey, my real life experiences, and the things that I've had to go through. So I'm very honest with these young ladies that as we are stepping into this, yes, we're telling you, you can take charge, you can have all the power, you can break out as a strong woman in society, but it does come with this, and that. It does come with, say, advances from men who do believe that once a girl does makeup and she likes to look good, she's inviting unnecessary compliments and, like, hey, I'm here, look at me. So I would say equipping them with the real life experiences and sharing the expectations to have, but still encouraging them that they can take charge of their lives, they can take the power in society and use it for a good cause.
That's interesting. I want you to talk about whether there's such things, a difference, the power relations with men and women, especially for your industry, whether you've seen a stark difference, like in any of the other industries that we are in, or it's different for you.
Yeah, there is a difference. When I introduce myself as an engineer, it gets a different response as when I introduce myself as a beauty entrepreneur. So the facial reactions, the comments that follow are very different, especially from the male side. So engineer, it's more of like, even then they are shocked. You look like that and you're an engineer. Beauty, immediately, it's like someone has ruled you out. Like, you're not going to say anything that does make sense after that. So there is that difference too. For the beauty industry, it is the societal attitude is a bit negative, even for the mothers and the women as well. Don't do those things. Makeup will make you invite men. So because of the societal attitude, even as the women have suppressed the young girls into the industry, because you'll find someone saying, I don't think my mother will allow me to do such things. It's as if it's a bad thing to do. So it's both the males, the females, but then the beauty industry does get a lot of the word has escaped me, but yeah, misinterpretation.
I think misrepresentation, but also,
Yeah.
is there an effort in professionalizing it? Because I think back when I was doing radio and TV, it was the makeup industry. I don't know if that even makes sense, but it was the industry where people thought you were going mad, And then I think over time, when it was professionalized and it became journalism, it's mass communication versus you're just on TV or you're just on radio. The professionalizing of the industry sort of made it more, more palatable for parents, for society. I wonder, of course, someone like you who's been in the industry for some time now, what you've seen in terms of professionalizing the industry, that you believe, in the next few years, girls won't be asked such questions, or, we won't be looked at a certain way. Yeah.
I do believe beauty with purpose is the future, because if we can get as many young women to actually take these skills and use them for purpose in society, with their lives, to make something. Right now, I'm my mother's pride, but in the beginning, she was one of the people like, what are you doing? Because we raised you, we paid tuition that you'd be an engineer and now beauty, but it has taken time to prove that to her. So I do believe the more we make it professional, take it to a global stage, use it for societal impact and change, then the face will be different. Because now, as opposed to the beginning, I get a lot of mothers going like, can I give you my daughter and you mentor her? Can you have a call with my girl? Can you tell her how she can, do things differently? I want her to think out of the box, because it took me to actually set the pace and do things from how they were being done. So if there is more of me, which is why mentorship is very key in Bubbles Glam, because it's not just about me, but impacting the next generation to do the same. So I do believe in a couple of years, even now, at least for my circles of influence, it is no longer seen like that, but rather as a power tool. It's, oh, we see what you're doing with Purpose Glam. Oh, we like what you're doing with the girls. Not, hey, where are you putting people's daughters and teaching them this, making them not to like their skin. And also, I think awareness is a big part, because spreading the awareness, which is through social media platforms, and the more people do that and explain what the industry actually is, the potential, it's a $1 trillion industry. So even just in terms of business and making a lucrative livelihood for yourself, there's a lot of potential there that is highly untapped just because of the societal attitude. So I do believe awareness and leading by example in society and mentoring the next generation to do the same it's changing, and it's looking up already.
Yeah. I wonder, now that you've had some years as an entrepreneur, when you look back, whether you would have taken the path either slightly differently, or you'd have done a few things differently, and you'd want to just map those out for us now with your experience. And also maybe twofold in that question is that, how are you then giving, because when you've learned through experience, you want the next generation to learn faster. You don't want them to have to go through the process like you did. So how also you explain those things that you learned to the younger generation, to the mentees under you? I would like to hear that.
One, I would say systems, because in the beginning of having being an entrepreneur, you have one account. Money that comes in for bubbles is one that is paying the rent, one where it's someone's birthday, you're sending back home to your grandma, you're doing what. There's no sort of direction. So I would say setting up systems that can actually help you manage your tasks, your work, having a work plan. That is a recent addition of mine in my journey, because as someone who is very visual and very creative and an overachiever, when I have something in my mind, I want it to be done now. But sometimes doing the things, once you have the business idea, you can actually crush it because you're trying to do it too fast. You're not actually appreciating the order of things and the processes you should go through to start up the venture. So you find that a lot of businesses are also being crippled in the beginning because they're just jumping into the whole vision. So having a work plan is another thing that I've added. Doing, say, a 5-year work plan. I mean, in this season, as a young woman that recently got married, I had to pace myself. I know that we have all these career goals, but then if we have a work plan, I know that this is the season where I'm going to focus on family, and I'm taking off the next 3 to 4 months to focus on wedding planning, having a strong foundation for that. And then the next few months will be for this, the next quarter. So I think that eases the load, because then you jump into the whole thing and then it crashes and then you feel like a failure and then you give up. So having a work plan, I would say, will make it easier on you and map out the tasks that you have and trying to set out systems, because as you bring in a team of people, because we all get to the point where we want our businesses to go beyond us. And when we bring in other people, they also do their own things because you don't have systems. And then you blame them and then you enter super boss mode. And, but if you have those systems, then you're bringing people, which you start as an individual in your small scale business, in your house, in your garage, in the back of your car. You're like, this is how we track finances. This is how the inventory is done. This is our marketing plan. This is our ideal customer, So by the time you're bringing in a team, there is already a system to follow and to go through. So I would say having systems in place, seeking knowledge, attend workshops, financial knowledge, investment knowledge, just try to gather your knowledge around everything that you are doing. And I would say lastly is the relationships that you have, your network. As an entrepreneur, you need to have networks, which is why in the spaces when you enter as a young entrepreneur, instead of caving in and feeling like, oh, do I belong? You stand out, you're confident, you're authentic, but then you're humble. And then you're able to cultivate proper relationships with these people, because then they will be your greater assets in scaling up, in mentoring you as well and giving you advice. So I would also suggest maybe having a team of mentors, maybe 1 or 2, because I do have a few mentors as well that have helped me on this journey. And me doing it for other people is also ease that journey for them. Yeah.
And actually, I think you hinted on what I wanted to ask you next, is that how was the trainer trained? Because when you're in a position of power, you need to know certain things. You need to, the way you're equipping other young people who you are leading, you also need to be equipped to know how to manage power. And I wonder, apart from just mentorship, or even if it was mentorship, I just sort of want to know how you became who you are. You understand? There are things that on the journey you can get into a book and read the same story as Barbarah, as Warren Buffett, but then there are also secrets that are unique to Barbarah that she either learned the hard way or the easy way, but made her the leader that she is today.
I do believe my greatest asset and secret is God. I have been an entrepreneur for as long as I can remember, and I started several other things before even Bubbles Glam that collapsed and failed that probably never hear about. But when I started doing business with God, both for Bubbles Glam, I'm an event planner with Lotus Events as well with my sister. Our secret is God, knowing that the businesses we are doing are unto service, unto purpose, less unto the money that you are making. I think that is the secret for me. That was the game changer, because there are several times I looked at the books and I'm like, how many clients have I had in this month? And then I'm looking at the bills that I have to pay, and the math is not mathing. And I'm like, genuinely, I don't think this business is worth it anymore. But when I go back to my secret place and pray, it is God. And I think for me, that is my secret ingredient, just maintaining that place with God, inviting Him into my business. It keeps me humble because come with power and with elevation, we see a lot of vanity and people changing. Suddenly they have the media's attention and they have become a whole other person. So that is my grounding force, my faith. And also the fact that what I'm doing is for a purpose, and the faith that I have that it's going to impact many communities, even on the low days, it keeps me going, because the journey of an entrepreneur is a rocky one, very rocky. Today morning, you'll wake up feeling motivated, and an hour from that, you could be crushed by something. And then you could have a week of, I absolutely don't want to do anything. I just want to be in bed, throw the blanket and throw the towel and be like, I am done. So I do believe for me, faith is my superpower, my secret. It gives me that confidence that what I'm doing is for a purpose, is for a reason. It grounds me when maybe I want to get way over in my head. It reminds me that I am serving unto God. So as I'm mentoring, I am serving these young people. I'm not seeing them as, oh, I'm helping. It's more of service. How much more can I give that I would give unto God? So that's what makes Barbarah. Like that's outstanding factor, honestly. Even when I speak, sometimes I'm like, God, you really give me wisdom, because I don't know, I didn't go to school for any of these things. I am self-taught. I taught myself the makeup. It's only recently where I've been intentional on entering programs and things to elevate my knowledge on entrepreneurship, on finances, on systems. But up until then, it's just God. Even then, it's God, really. Yeah, that's my secret.
Yeah. That faith, I saw a lot of Bugalo go up for you, so well done. I think that was more than the right answer. I wonder, because the beauty industry, you're not just sort of leading. Just when we discuss leadership here and power, we've been discussing a lot of your team and, for example, the people you mentor. But then there's the other people, and you've been hinting on people, managing people, understanding people. There's your suppliers, there's the clients, and now, with the events company. I mean, really, the chain of who you're dealing with in terms of team and people is beyond. You have to find the right people to collaborate with, to partner with, to pull off something great. And it's sort of like a chain. When something is wrong at a certain point, it breaks all of us. So I wonder how you manage power relations in instances like that. It's not your mentees who you already know their characters and you've already stepped through. Flavia is coming to you, her character is like this. These are just, people who probably have equipment that you need to use. And now all of a sudden you find yourself dealing with them. Explain to me how you've managed power relations in I would even call it an imbalance. Yeah.
So with Bubbles Glam, we have, I'll just break down the power relations that I have to deal with as Barbarah. One, there is Barbarah, the mentees, which I think I've gone in depth with, the team and the girls that we mentor. Then we have Barbarah with the suppliers of the products that we do use. So those are different outlets or shipping agencies where I have to get products into the country. So that is suppliers. Then there is power relations as well with our partners. We do have a few partners. I don't know if you're aware of Bella Zuri. So Bella Zuri partnered with Bubbles Glam as part of their corporate social responsibility to actually give back products to empower these young women. So we have partners relations, and Tessa Advisory that has partnered with us also before to, equip them with entrepreneurship knowledge, different partners that have come on board. So there is that partner relationship. And then there is the business side of client relationships. So those are all very different, very dynamic, but I believe the one thing that stands out is respect, respectful boundaries. Yes. So, and that is a mutual perspective. So I respect you, you respect me, because even with clients, you want to show up to a client's home if it's a home call or if they're coming to you, and you're you're respectful of their space, of their, I don't know, that's how I manage that. I'm respectful. I'm understanding if someone is willing to have a talk. There are clients whereby we've gone ahead to even be friends just because we started by doing one makeup session, because, the conversation was growing and we got to know each other deeper. And there are clients that you're working on and that's their quiet time, that's maybe the 1 hour they get to breathe the whole day away from work, away from children. And you as a makeup artist, you don't want to be there talking and blabbing on and telling your stories. So I'd say understanding the room, understanding the people that you're dealing with, and being respectful in that manner, that you do not cross their boundaries and they do not cross yours as well. And as a young entrepreneur entering the space whereby you're bringing in partners on board, that's another power dynamic, because this is your thing. So bringing partners on board, we have had people who we have decided not to work with because I do believe they're going to change the vision that we are carrying, because they're bringing personal interests into the work that we are doing. But then how do you navigate that respectfully without losing that as a potential future partner for something that, you could work on or collaborate with? So just being respectful and mindful and understanding the people that you're dealing with, even on the supplier level. I'll just share with the event space. People ask us, Lotus Events, how do you guys do it? We had this photographer doesn't deliver, but they deliver with us because we have created that authentic relationship with them, that they know when we are the ones that give them the job, they are going to deliver beyond. So that cuts across with clients, with partners, with investors, with suppliers. And also being humble. I will not emphasize how much humility plays, because the more you grow as a person and the more you feel like you have so much power, you're elevating, there's a tendency to enter, and I've encountered such entrepreneurs before. You enter a room and everyone is the best in their own field, but you want to feel like, yeah, you people have to know what I am doing, and
Yes.
So I think taking that step back of humility also helps you to ease into it and study the room, study the people before then you know how to approach. If you're always just blabbing and blabbing and blabbing, you might be disrespectful to someone without actually knowing you are being disrespectful. You may cross their boundary without knowing that. But if you are humble, you will take a step back, analyze the people that you're dealing with, study them, and see how to best navigate and create authentic relationships with them.
Yeah, I wonder if when you're trying to do so many things, for example, you're trying to grow as a business, you're trying to see how you can also maintain control. You've said even when you're far, you still believe, I wish I could still be able to micromanage a few things. But you're also trying to do both without trying to lose sight of what the vision is, standing at that point, almost godlike, but we're not going to say that it's a godlike position, but you're sort of looking down at these little pieces that need to be moved. How do you manage those? Because you want the business to grow to become what it was, and you hinted on it by saying, I try, but I don't do it perfectly. But in such instances where that growth is necessary for your business to reach now the next heights that you have for it. Maybe I should say, what are you doing now, since this is a problem you currently have?
That's a good one. We're addressing
Yeah.
real problems in real time.
Now.
Um, I think innovation is a great aspect of being an entrepreneur. If you're not continuously innovating new ways, you will lose it, you will quit, you will give up. So I think whenever I'm faced with a new challenge, it's always like, how can I innovate? How can I do things differently and still achieve the same goals? So currently I'm working on an ebook, a makeup beginner's guide. And that is a tool that I do believe that can be sold as an ebook, can be printed and published, given to our the students within our classes, can be sold, So we're still seeing how to still do business within Bubbles Glam. So creating multiple streams of income under one business, innovation. So it's like previously we had to do bridal makeup, go up to these clients, and maybe that cannot work as I speak now because I'm navigating a whole change. But then how else can we innovate and still keep income coming in? And then we ascertain that the girls can continue the mentorship program. So navigating, okay, how can I best support them and see how we can have another cohort early next year? How can we get funding? Just being innovative and also moving with the technological era. I do believe technology plays a big role in entrepreneurship. It eases the systems that you're building, even remotely when you are not physically there. So I am tapping into my technological skills and just seeing how to best innovate. Can we do masterclasses online and have a few people join in? Can we have the talks that maybe I used to go out to the communities and have those? I mean, right now I'm so grateful to FIDA for giving me this platform because it reaffirmed one of the things I had thought about. And just like I said, faith and God, you're praying, God, give me clarity, give me direction. What should I do? I'm in a new space. I would like to continue my speaking engagements, but I'm not in the country to show up physically like I was before. And here we are having an amazing conversation and still
Aligned.
to. So I do believe innovation, that I'm learning on the job, and innovation is like, how can I still make money in Bubbles Glam, personal skills, personal knowledge, and still grow? Maybe if I was still back home in Uganda full time as well, I would not be able to think of ebooks. I'd just be stuck to, we have a cohort, they come in, and only those who are in the class get the knowledge. But how can we get this knowledge out there for everyone? So, yeah.
I think it might have hinted on things like a lack of respect for, well, the ego, because then you talked about humility. But I want to know about challenges you've seen, maybe even experienced, in managing power relations, especially for a female, because you already told me that it's different. It's different from men to women. So if you can talk to me about the challenges, whether you have faced or you have seen or encountered that, are a challenge in managing power relations.
As a female, because as a female in power, you're going to deal with a team that not only comprises of just women. So you're going to have within your team males that are coming on board to play certain roles. Is it admin? Is it content creation, videography? So even within Bubbles Glam, yes, we are focusing on women and young girls, but we also work with men in the team, I would say. So it's a bit of an interesting place to navigate. And for me, honestly, it comes back to how branding yourself. How do you want people to see you? So there's the image, the aura that you carry yourself. How do you carry yourself around these men? Are you confident but not coming off as don't talk to me, but still being able to communicate what you would like to work and the kind of work that you'd like to do with them. So I think it comes down still to how you want people to see you, how you brand yourself, and also being confident, because then they take you seriously. Because as a woman giving instructions to a man and saying, oh no, you did not deliver on time, or dealing with different partners, you're even talking to men that are almost as close to the age of your father, So I think confidence with humility is the key. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you've talked about, life and the season that you're in being a
Mhm.
bit different. And someone could have been fooled with you talking work, 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 building businesses, businesses, businesses. But I wonder if when do you, when you do fuel yourself just to put back into Barbara, what you do, because also do you prioritize that, or is that something
Yeah.
you just don't care about?
Oh,
And you're a car that keeps going? If you do take time, tell us what you do.
no, you need to pour into yourself. I've been there. I learned the hard way. I've had several bad burnouts because you have, I don't know, should I call it career validation? Where it's like, I want to keep go, 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 go. You are privileged to announce that as, accepted for this, doing that, but then you reach a point and you burn out. So I've had to learn the hard way to rest. Rest is key. Because if you don't rest, if you don't re-strategize, I think I take my rest seasons as re-strategizing seasons. Just like I shared, I had to slow down for this season to actually start my marriage, but then I've also had the opportunity to re-strategize and see things differently. I think it's a bit hard to innovate and create in spaces where you go, go, go with the things that were already existing. And I
Yeah.
also prioritize my self-care. I love to go to the spa. I love to listen to a good podcast. Church is therapy for me. So I'm always listening to sermons, going for fellowship. I feel like also feeling my spiritual cup keeps me going because it
Yeah.
reaffirms my entire existence. Like, why am I here?
Mm.
Why am I doing the work that I'm doing? If maybe I strayed off, it will just kind of keep me grounded. So spiritual fueling. I love talking, as which is why I enjoy public speaking. But I do like having a good chat with my friends. Call a sister, call a friend, and just talk and laugh. And recently, now I'm in Germany right now. Cycling is very normal, like riding bicycles. So that's
Yeah.
something that I've also added to, like, you know what, let's go and cycle. Is it 10 p.m.? Let's just cycle, clear my head, and yeah, regroup my thoughts. So plus taking a great cup of tea.
Oh my, I should have brought my cup of tea as well. It's honestly, yes. I also add reading a good book to it, but you've been
Yes.
spot on. And I think that's what makes also a leader useful if you're holistic. You're not a good leader if you're only successful on one side. And I like how you said career validation is really the equaling of burnout, because you need to always, as you said, announce the next big thing and show up for the next big thing and be seen a certain way. Because when you're dealing with power relations, you need to be seen. That confidence you're saying is also what people are seeing. So sometimes you feel
Mhm.
that thing of, I need to always show up in a certain way, and
Yeah.
when it really shouldn't be happening. Because if people around you see you balanced,
Mhm.
ideally that also contributes to the respect that you're getting from them. So this has been so powerful. I want to also leave room for questions. I know we're about to get to the 50 past mark. And I can see the huge, well, thank you guys for even staying on this long for the conversation. It feels like we just started the conversation, but you're a really fantastic public speaker. Let me give you your flowers, Barbara.
Oh,
For
thank you.
someone who is in communications, I would know someone who's excellent at it, and you are. So thank you for being able to communicate. Do you believe also that that is one skill set someone in power needs, someone in leadership needs? Were you always
Absolutely.
that way, or did you have to learn over time?
I think I was always this way, but we did a strengths test during the Mandela Washington Fellowship, and my strength was communication. And for someone growing up, my
Mm,
mom used to say, "Hey, Barbara, you can talk. I hope one day you're talking help makes you
yeah.
money." So, but communicating being the ability to translate what's in your mind into words
Mm,
and also bring people together. I think communication is a great skill. Either if you don't have
yeah.
it, I do believe it's something that you can grow with time and have confidence in.
Yeah. Someone sent me a book today and there's, I think, a point where I have to figure out what my strength is in leadership. So you're spot
Mhm.
on what is needed. Yeah. I'm going to be guided. I'm not quite sure I can see where the questions are. Oh, there it is.
Flavia?
Lynette is going to have to guide me with the questions because I tried to pop them in and I got off.
It's well.
So yeah, but if anybody has a comment, I know we're just all the way to the mark before we get to 2 p.m. You can always share. Barbara, I wanted to ask because I'm only circling back to being an entrepreneur at this old age, because I thought I was better as a career woman versus an entrepreneur. And there's so many things that, when people entrepreneurs, like you have just said, that some days you wake up and you don't want to do it. Some days, and I wonder what you would tell, especially the women. And I say women because some things, whether you like it or not, are gender sensitive, are gender advantaged. What you would tell about, being a woman and an entrepreneur, what you found as a strength. I don't want you to tell us the weaknesses. We might get scared. What works well for us as entrepreneurs?
As women, I don't know if it's a real thing, but we have like a sixth sense.
Oh.
Yeah, I
We
think
can kind of see things from far, like we can tell.
You read in between the lines, you pick up on things quickly, emotions, even say, as I've seen my sisters, like as mothers, they're able to just know how the child is feeling, how, friends, families. I do believe that's our superpower. That is the action and the instinct that we have as women. So even in business, it does play a big role. It does play a big role in that. I believe you're always one step ahead just by that sixth sense. It's like a superpower women have.
Yeah, so I have Amumpere Brenda. Says, thank you, ladies. How do you separate profits from capital? Are there any systems you've implemented? Sometimes money tends to be lost in between many things. I don't know if the money tends to be lost or you just
I
don't know how to keep your hands out of the wrong pockets. But
I
yes.
I was in an entrepreneurship class with AWI Academy for Women Entrepreneurs, and the facilitator said, "Some of you are the rats in your business. You are stealing from your business." And I have never felt so convicted, because I'm like, it's my capital, it's my investment. But then I do believe you need to separate the money, and then maybe pay yourself like let your business pay you, but separate your money. Let it have a separate either account number it's going to, or a separate mobile money number for small scale businesses where you don't have bank accounts yet. Just say my Airtel number is for business, MTN is for, and be accountable to that, because you will be the rat in your own business. And then tomorrow your business needs bailing out and you don't know where to get money from. But if you had your business money, then things like stocking up inventory would not be an issue month in, month out. So we are the rats in our own businesses.
Yes. Somebody
Flavia, can't hear you. Oh, great, you're back.
Yeah, the question popped up, so I don't even need to go back, because every time I try to go back, multi-religious clients, you've spoken so much about God being at the center, but sometimes you're going to start, let's pray near a client, and it's going to be a problem because we're not all the same. So how do you deal with that? That was a question from somebody.
One, you study the people that you're dealing with. You don't open up a faith conversation and go deep into Bible verses with someone who is not of the same faith. And also being respectful of their faith as well and their beliefs, because you do encounter people with different faith beliefs. There's Christianity, there is Islam, there is people that believe in other things, New Age and other things that, all sorts. I think being respectful of their faith. When I have to have the faith conversation, I always ask, are you Christian? Before I start blabbing on and on, So I do believe finding out, ask the question, are you Christian? If you're not, and even when they're not, because we have had maybe Muslim clients or people within our cohorts, even when they're not of the same faith, you can still talk about faith without making it choking down and saying, oh, Hebrews so and so says this, Matthew. You could still share the same overall. I feel like faith unite, like it's faith. So respecting their God, but communicating the message that you're trying to deliver. I hope that helps.
Someone asked about dealing with negativity in the beginning of your journey. I think down to, saying that people didn't believe in you, some people maybe would be putting you down, just how you maneuvered that.
I think at the core of that is remembering why what is your why? Why are you doing that business? Why did you start that venture? That's honestly, it sounds very cliche, but that's the only thing that's going to keep you going, which is why mine comes back to a point of service and to God and knowing that there is a purpose in what I'm doing. So even when, I mean, going against your parents and saying, I'm going to do makeup, when they expect you to go back. I had a job at Ministry of Energy, and up until even still, I would say even last time, my mom would call, but Konkashi, why don't you go back and get that job, you know? Is to get an office, you know, because there's stable income and there's all that. But my why keeps me going. I know why I'm doing this. I have seen the impact of that why. And when the seasons are really low, I believe for every level you go up, you get people that want to step on you. So even from the beginning, your circle of influence, you'll start that business and you'll be shocked that your closest of friends have never bought one item from you, you know? Your parents who used to cheer you on have never said, good job, Barbarah, well done. You know, and that can be crushing. Or even your partner for those that are married. But I do believe knowing the why will keep you going. And eventually everyone sees the light that you carry and in the work that you're doing or the business that you've started.
You know, before we wind up, you've said that thing about eventually people will understand. And recently I got asked a question by someone who was saying that when you speak about your journey and you say it took you 10 years or 5 years or 6 years to get to the person that you are today who is celebrated, it said,
Yeah.
isn't it lonely in the journey when people haven't yet accepted you? And how do you deal with that loneliness? And that's the first time I honestly ever had someone phrase it that way. Because you know, the loneliness becomes part of you when you're when
Yes.
you're trying to go up, but you don't even remember to discuss it. But you sound like you have experienced it.
Oh no, it's very lonely, and I don't think there's anything that can change that process. But having a great support system, maybe being intentional with your friends. Sometimes you'll feel so alone. Maybe it's you has to make the first move and like check in on family, check in on friends. You may not necessarily discuss your business ideas with them and where you are at, but just having a good laugh about something that happened on the news could cheer you up, and that's enough to keep you going for that day. So, but it's very lonely. So I do find outlets. If it's running, if it's going to the gym, if it's cooking a good meal, if it's hosting friends and family, find an outlet because it will dawn on you. And yet there's a lot of potential and a lot you have to give to the world. So we can't lose all that because of that. Just so find an outlet.
Okay, so we'll have one final question and wrap up. And the person just popped up asking, how do you manage expectations when, for example, the brand that you've created or the business is bigger than Barbarah, the individual? You know, how do you, because now the expectation is of that business is so successful. It is this and this, and I expect big things of it. And meanwhile, you, Barbarah, are just trying to navigate having long distance relationship, then being away, then coming back.
Expectation. I think you have to cut that out. Expectation from who? I don't know. I think you
So
just have to cut.
it could even be down. You know what? Sometimes I think the way they even phrase that question, it could even be from your own clients, because I can look at a
Yes.
certain company and expect like, oh, come on, this person is, doing great things. I expect this of them. By now, surely you're still doing this in your business, Barbarah. I thought with all the money you make, you should be here and here. The whole time you're like, I'm in negatives.
I mean,
You know?
negatives.
Yes. How to just manage that?
I
Oh,
think
and
for
before you even Rosette asked a question about balancing work and life. So right after you answer that expectations one, please plug in Rosette.
okay, there's expectations from clients. So one, I know that the clientele I had built as Bubbles Glam is probably scared right now. They're like, congratulations on your marriage. But then like, what happens to us? Who's going to do our makeup? Who is going to, do our events? And I think that's where because of the authentic relationships we have created, I'm able to communicate. Bubbles Glam is not dying. It's not going away, guys, just because I have moved. We are working. Just be patient with us. We are setting up systems in place that will be able to serve you very soon. It may not be now, but we are here, because if you don't communicate, people are just going to run you out and move on to the next person. So we are still here. We're building. Allow us. It's just like any relationship. this is we're in a bad place, but we're coming back. Or we are re-strategizing. Expectations from society of, oh, maybe you should be here by now. I think it comes down to being true to yourself and to your journey, because the societal pressures are very many. You'll open Instagram and the pressure is up there, especially so even for people within the same industries. She driving a Mercedes Benz, people expect that maybe because we're the same level, I should know. I think just stay true to yourself, serve your purpose within the work that you're doing, with the clients that you have, communicate with them. You have built a family. I call it a Bubbles Glam family. You are part of the family, whether you're part as a client or a partner. So communicating with them. Yeah. And then the last question was balancing life and work.
Yes.
That's a very I'm being very intentional. Like, we are still learning on that job, but I was an overachiever, which means 99% of the time I was working, no sleep, But now I'm learning to also prioritize family and life as well. Like, there's more to Barbarah beyond the deliverables of my business or any other work that I am doing. So if I am having, say, dinner with my husband, I will see the email, but I'll attend to it tomorrow morning. It's not the end of the world. If it's time to work, then I am working. If it's time to have family, because outside work, like we say, the entrepreneurship journey is very lonely. So if you get engrossed in all that and you forget all these other aspects around you, I don't think that's a healthy way to live. So you have to be intentional. It's hard, because you often feel like, am I sleep? You're sleeping, you're resting. Really, you're out here enjoying a party when you could be, drafting up a strategic plan on something. But you have to be intentional. And
speaking of intentional, what about business and career? The engineer and the business owner, how are we managing the two?
I think I decided to focus, and over time I have proved that I think this is, like I said, my faith. This is where I am meant to be. Have there been moments where I second guess, I just maybe go back and pivot and get into another, moving to Germany as well. Like, maybe I think this is the time to get an engineering job. It pays really well here, Yeah. But then this is where I'm supposed to be. So how can I also establish myself in the beauty industry here? So yeah, why are you doing what you're doing? Honestly, that's going to keep you grounded when you're making decisions, when you're moving forward, when you're planning for your life in every aspect. Yeah.
It doesn't seem like we're going to move you from Bubbles Glam, so that's a good thing.
We're taking it global.
Yes. I've been inspired. It's 3 minutes past 3, so we need to wrap it up. But I will not forget how you talked about constantly finding your voice and your identity, and in turn building up the confidence slowly, because those are the tools you'll need as you navigate every power obstacle, every power relation, the ups and the downs, the losing your why, the focus. If you're confident in who you are, you exude that over everything you do. For me, it's the biggest takeaway here. Absolutely. So I want to give you your final words. Barbarah, thank you for pouring into us today. And thank you for honestly being bigger than life, because once you started talking, I'm like, she was the right person for this conversation. Thank you for bringing your all to this conversation, and we'll definitely look forward to, as this season turns over, how the businesses also turn over, and how as you, the individual, also change. So thank you so much. Obugalo is there coming for you in plenty. Yes, thank you everybody who's been part of the Feeder Coffee series. The Leadership Academy. Every once a month it happens. Please look out for all the communication and make sure you join us. It would be very bad of me to let her go without giving us her parting shots. So, Barbarah, the floor is yours and to send us off.
It's honestly been an absolute honor. I'm so grateful to FIDA. I'm so grateful to you, Flavia, for being such an amazing host. To everyone that has stayed on. Usually people tune in and you see numbers dropping off, but for everyone that has stayed, it means a lot. And this is it's a pivotal moment for me in my career, and I'm happy to come back and support the Leadership Academy in any way I can. I love giving back. I love supporting women. So Bubbles Glam is here, Barbarah is here, and I look forward to all amazing things. And for anyone else that's tuning in, feel free to reach out through any of my other social media platforms. If you'd like to have a further conversation on anything that I have shared, I am more than willing to have that conversation with you. Thank you.
I know everybody is trying to log off, but Rona, you had something to say or you wanted to sing for us? I see your hand up, Rona. Unmute. Okay, I'm going to assume the hand up was a mistake. Yes, okay. Thank you to everybody. I'm going to say bye. Let us get into the rest of the day. And until next month, as we come back to this, it's been lovely. It's been lovely. Be a leader wherever you are and blossom where you have been planted. From me, Flavia, good afternoon.
Have a lovely day.